Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked. I thought I saw Elphaba once, said Croat. Oh, said Fiyero and Glinda together, and Glinda continued, You never told me that, Croat. I wasn't sure, he said. I was on the trolley that runs along the reflecting pool by the palace. It was raining some years ago now, and I saw a figure struggling with a big umbrella. I know she was about to be blown away. A gust of wind blew the umbrella inside and out on the face, a greenish face, which is why I noticed, ducking down to avoid the splash of rainwater. Remember how Elphaba hated getting wet? She was allergic to water, Glinda OP'd. I never knew how she kept herself so clean, and I, her roommate. Oil, I think, said Fiyero. They looked both at him. That is in the Vinkus, he stammered. The elderly rub oil on their skin instead of water. I've always assumed that's what Elphaba did. I don't know, Glinda. If I were to meet up with you again, what's a good day? She rooted in her reticule for a diary. Croak took the opportunity to lean forward and say to Fiyero, It's really good to see you, you know. You too, said Fiyero, surprisingly meant it. If you ever get out to the Central Kells, come stay at Kiamiko with us. Just send word out as we're only there for half the year at a time. That's just your speed, Croak. The wild beast of the untamed Vinkus, said Glinda. I think the fashion possibilities, all those leather thongs and fringe and such, might interest you. But I can see you as Mr. Mountain Boy. No, probably not, agreed Croak, unless it affords fabulous cafes every 4 or 5 blocks. I don't think a landscape quite developed enough for human habitation. Fiyero shook hands with Croak and then, remembering the rumors about poor Tivit's deterioration, kissed him. He threw his arms around Glinda and hugged her hard. She laced her arm through this and walked him to the door. Do not let Croak do not shake off Croak and have you back all to yourself, she said in a low voice, her patter evaporating into seriousness. I can tell you, dear Fiyero, the past seems more mysterious and more understandable with you right here before me. I feel things I could yet learn. I don't want to wallow again, dear boy, never that. But we have to go back. She held his hands between hers. Something going on in your life. I'm not as dumb as I act. Something good and bad at the same time. Maybe I can help. You always were sweet, he said in motion to the doorman to hail a hansom cab. How I regret that I won't meet Sir Chuffrey. He moved out the doorway across the marble entrance pavement and turned to tip his hat at her. In the doors, the doorman held them open to enhance his parting view. She was a calm, resigned woman, neither transparent nor ineffectual. Even, it might have said, a woman full of grace. If you shall see her, said Glinda lightly, tell her I miss her still. He didn't see Glinda again. He didn't call it the Floor and Wait Club. He didn't stroll past the Throp family house on the lower Minnepin Street, though he was sorely tempted. He didn't stop a scalper to try to get one of those tickets to Stillapede's triumphant 4th annual comeback tour. He found himself in the chapel of St. Glinda in St. Glinda's Square, from which he could sometimes hear the cloister mounts next door chanting and sarauding like a swarm of bees. When the 2 weeks had passed at last, and the city worked up to a froth over Lurleen mist, he went to see Elphaba, expecting she would be vanished. There she was, stern and loving, and in the midst of making a vegetable pie for him. Her precious Malky was putting his feet in the flour and making paw prints all over the room. They talked awkwardly until Malky upset the bowl of vegetable stock and then made them both laugh. He didn't tell her about Glinda. How could he? Elphaba had worked so hard to keep them all at bay. Now she was engaged in the major campaign of her life, the thing she had been working towards for 5 years. He did not approve of anarchy. Well, he knew he was in lazy doubt about everything. Doubt was much more energy efficient than conviction. But even after seeing the bear cub struck down, he had to keep an even cautious relationship with the power on the throne, for the sake of his tribe. Also, Fiyero didn't want to make Elfie's life harder than it was, and his selfish need to be comfortable with her surmounted his need to gossip. So he didn't tell her Nesta Rose and Nanny were in town either, or had been. For all he knew, he rationalized silently that they had already moved on. I wonder, she said at night, as the stars peered through the crazy frost pattern on the skylight. I wonder if you should get out of town before Lurleen Miss Eve. Is all hell gonna break loose? I told you, I don't know the whole picture. I can't know. I shouldn't know. But maybe some hell will break loose. Maybe it would be best for you to go. I'm not going and you can't make me. I've been taking correspondence courses in sorcery on the side. I'll go puff and turn you to stone. You mean you'll make me hard? I'm already hard. Stop. Oh, you wicked woman, you've bewitched me again. Look, it has a mind of its own. Fiyero, stop. Now look, I mean it. I want you to know where you're going to be on Lurleen. Let's see, Eve, just so you be sure you're not going to get hurt. Tell me. You mean we won't be together? It's a work night for me, she said grimly. I'll see you the next day. I'll wait here for you. No, you won't. I think we've covered our tracks pretty well, but there's still a chance, even at this late date, that somebody could come here to intercept me. No, you stay in your club and take a bath. Take a nice, long, cold bath. Got it? Don't even go out. They might say it'd be snowing by then anyway. It's Lurleen Miss Eve. I'm not going to spend the holiday in a bathtub all alone. Well, hire some company. See if I care. As if you don't. Just stay away from anything social. I mean theaters or crowds or even restaurants. Please, will you promise me that? If you could be more civic, I could be more careful. You could be most careful if you left town completely. You could be most careful if you told me, get over with that, cut it out. I don't think I even want to know where you are, come to think of it. I just want you to be safe. Will you be safe? Will you stay inside, away from the drunken pagan celebrations? Can I go to a chapel and pray for you? No! She looked so fierce he didn't even tease her about it again. Why should I make myself so safe? He asked her, but he was almost asking about himself. What is there in my life worth preserving? With a good wife back in the mountains, serviceable as an old spoon, dry in the heart from having been scared of marriage since she was 6, with 3 children, so shy of their father, the prince of the Arjikis, that they will hardly come near him. With a careworn clan moving there, going through the same disputes, herding the same herds, praying the same prayers as they done for 500 years. And me, with a shallow and undirected mind, no artfulness or in a word or habit, no especial kindness toward the world. What is there that makes my life worth preserving? I love you, said Elphaba. So that's it then. And that's it, he answered her and himself. And I love you, so I promise to be careful. Careful of us both, he thought. He stalked her again. Love makes hunters of us all. She had swathed herself in long dark skirts like some sort of religious woman, and tucked her hair inside a tall brimmed hat with a crown like a comb. There was a dark scarf, purple and gold, wound around her neck and pulled over her mouth, though she would need more than a scarf to mask that lovely prow of a nose. She wore elegant, tight-fitting gloves, a nicer type of accessory that she usually went for, though he feared it was allowed for nimbler control of her hands. Her feet were lost in big, steel-toed boots, like the kind they worn by miners in the Glickus. If you didn't know she was green, it was hard to tell in this dark afternoon in the raking skittle of snow. She didn't look behind her. Perhaps she didn't care if she was being followed. Her circuit took around her in some of the major squares of the city. She ducked in for a moment to be at the chapel of St. Glinda next to the Monterey, the one where he had first seen her. Perhaps she was getting some last-minute instructions, but she didn't try to give him, or anyone else, the slip. She emerged in a minute or two. Or perhaps perish the thought. She was actually praying for guidance and strength. She crossed the low quartz bridge. She wandered along the Ozma embankment cut diagonally through the abandoned rose gardens of the Royal Mall. The snow pestered her. She kept twining her cape the more tightly around. The silhouette of the thin, dark stocking and those huge comical boots showed up against the snow blankness of the Oz Deer Park. Now, of course, bereft of deer and deer, she marched head down, tucked again, past the cenotaphs and obelisks and memorial tablets to the magnificent dead of this escapade or that. The decades, Fiyero thought, in love with her, or at least frightened for her that he could mistake it for love. The decades looked on and did no surpassing. They stared from her fixed mounts, sat across each other, and didn't see revolution strides between them on her way to destiny. But the wizard must not be her aim. She must have told the truth in saying that she was too untried and too obvious to be selected as the wizard's assassin. She must be involved in a diversionary tactic, or in taking out a possible successor or high-level ally. For tonight, the wizard would be opening the anti-royalist, revisionist exhibit of struggle and virtue of the People's Academy of Art and Mechanics near the palace. Yet at the top of Shiz Road, Elphaba stuck out sideways away from the palace Jacob's Drift, cutting through the small, fashionable district of Goldhaven. The homes of the filthy rich were guarded by mercenaries, and she clawed past them on pavements, past the stable boys out sweeping the snow off the pavement with their brooms. She did not look up or down or back over her shoulder. Fiyero guessed she was more ostentatious figure, striding in his opera cape in the snow 100 paces behind. At the edge of Goldhaven was perched a small blue stone of a theater, the Ladies' Mist, and the shallow but elegant square before it. White lights and gold lights and green spangles hung in profusion. Looped from streetlight to streetlight, some holiday oratorio or some other was scheduled. He could only read "sold out" on the board in front, and the doors weren't yet open. The crowd was gathering. Some vendors sold hot chocolate in tall ceramic glasses, and a crowd of self-approving youngsters amused themselves and bothered some elderly couple by singing a parody of an old Unionist hymn of the season. The snow came down on lights, the theater, the crowds. It landed in the hot chocolate. It was churned to mush and ice on the bricks. Bravely, foolishly, without a decision or choice, it felt like, Fiyero climbed the steps of a nearby private library to keep an eye on Elphaba, who lost herself in the crowd. Was there to be murder at the theater? Was there to be arson? The innocent Sybarites roasted like chestnuts? Was it a single mark, an appointed victim? Or was it mayhem and disaster? The more, the worse, the better. He didn't know if he was to prevent what she was about to do, or to save whoever he could from the catastrophe, or to do anyone hurt accidentally, and maybe just to witness it so he can know about her, and love her or not to love her, but know which of the two it was. She was circling through the crowd, as if trying to locate someone. He believed, incredibly, that she didn't know he was there, was so intent on finding the right victim, and he didn't fit the bill. Could she not feel her lover in the same open-air square with her as the wind moved the curtain of snow? And I'm going to stop there. Thanks for listening.